Welcome to my channel, and today I'd like to show you how to do some screen printing. So I'm going to be printing on fabric, and I have here some white cotton, and with the cotton material it's always a good idea to wash it just in cold water before you start. Let it dry, maybe give it a press if necessary, and that's simply to get rid of any size or that starchy finish that's on the fabric, because that will stop your screen printing inks or your fabric paints, which I'm going to be using blue. It'll stop them penetrating. The second thing that I'm going to need is a screen, and because I've got this lovely royal blue, I'm going to be doing this ginger jar design. This is not a particularly large silk screen, and it's a lovely one to start with. But what you will see is that I have a blue film here, and that blue film is a coating on the screen, which is a very, very fine, tightly stretched mesh. This blue coating is going to stop the paint from penetrating through the screen onto my fabric. So wherever you have white showing through on this design, that is where the paint is going to go through. Okay, so the blue is blocking it out, and you'll see also that I've put some packaging tape around the outside edges. Sometimes I find when you've had a screen exposed at the silk screen suppliers that maybe they haven't coated it right up to the edge. So this is just a protection so that I don't actually get paint coming through there. I'm going to need to, for this process, turn my silk screen over, and you'll see that the frame itself is wood, and that the frame has been varnished. It's very important to varnish this wooden frame before you go and have the screens put on, because you will be washing your screens in water, and if it's normal wood, this is just pine, that you will find that it's going to damage the wood in time. So I've got my square of fabric here, and I'm going to simply just place my silk screen down, and then I have my teaspoon that I have, and I'm going to just take some of this paint and I'm going to lay it across the top of my silk screen like that. I don't need to cover it over the areas where I can see underneath that I've actually got the masking tape. Now, normally you would use a squeegee, which you can get from silk screen supply stores, but if you haven't got that and you've got a larger screen, you can use one of these window squeegees. They work quite well. They're not as soft as the others, but that's okay. And if you are really just doing one or two little things and you don't want to go to that expense, you can use an old store card. They work very well, although they are slightly scratchy, so I wouldn't use them long term with it. And when you're silk screening, you want to use this at a 45-degree angle, so that that angle is what you're going to be pulling the paint across your screen with. So I'm now going to put my card over the paint, and I'm going to just drag it towards me at a 45-degree angle. Having got to the end, I'm going to tap off that excess, and I'm going to come to the top and drag this down. If you have a larger squeegee, it will do this all at once, but it's not serious in this print. I want to be able to see at this stage that all the white areas of my silk screen have been coated, and to remove any thick areas if I've got a line going through that. Now, the next thing is to make sure that you hold your fabric while you lift the screen, and I normally lift it from one side to the other, and there we have it. One beautiful design. So that the next thing that you will do now, if you're going to continue, is that you would just make sure that you haven't got any ink that's squished through onto the other side of your stencil, maybe in these sort of areas where you want to clean up, and then you can actually put it on your next piece of fabric. If you are finished, you can scrape off this excess fabric paint or your screen printing inks, depending on what you like to call it, and you can just put that back in the bottle to store. And then you just want to rinse this with water and some dishwashing liquid and leave it to dry completely before you store it. That's very, very simple version of screen printing. It obviously gets a lot more complicated than that the more professional you go. But this method is great where you're wanting to do repeats of a design and they're going to be too laborious to paint. So you might want to do this as a border on something, etc. It's not effective if you're only going to do one design and that's going to be it, because often the cost of having your screen exposed will outweigh the actual value of the article that you're making. So you need to bear that in mind. But I will show you a way that you can use a blank screen and other methods to create your own designs. So look out for that in my next playlist. under fabric painting. Bye for now.